Could the New York Jets decide to trade away wide receiver Denzel Mims? That's what we're talking about here on today's show. Mitchell Renz from Chat Sports, ready to walk you through the latest news and rumors around the New York Jets. So Mims was selected in round 2, 59 overall, out of Baylor in the 2020 NFL Draft. All reports have been indicating that Mims has been sliding down the Jets' depth chart. Either he hasn't been able to work very well with Zach Wilson, or still some injuries are popping up. Plus, a lot of the other players at Jets camp have just been surpassing him. So there was a report that came out on Monday that Mims could actually be a player to keep an eye on in terms of being traded, or when I saw this, even cut. I was like, wow, that's really, really surprising to me. The reason why it's surprising is simply because this was a receiver that I really liked when he first was coming out of college. 6'3", 207 pounds. He was just one of those dudes where when the whole draft process started, we actually here at Chat Sports had him as a round 3 grade. Then he goes all the way up to a round 1 grade, but he did end up sliding down to pick number 59. Coming off here, we had 23 catches, 357 yards, 0 touchdowns. You could point the finger and say, well, maybe it was the issues with the offense. Maybe it was all the quarterback woes. But now what you're seeing is he's not being able to build that connection with Zach Wilson, which puts him in an interesting situation. So as it stands right now, I would probably say you got Corey Davis, Elijah Moore, Jamison Crowder decided to rework his contract, Keelan Cole. But where exactly does that leave somebody like a Denzel Mims? Because Smith and Berrios, I would even argue, are probably even over him. So what do you guys think here? I understand it was only 1 year. 2020 was a shit show to say the least. But after all these negative reports coming out about Mims still not either being able to pick up the offense, not being in shape, there's a lot of different things going on. Scale it from 1 to 10. So 1 being you're not confident in Mims whatsoever. 10 being you are very confident in him. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to give it a 4 simply because if all these other receivers are starting to surpass him, obviously that scares a lot of people. But one of my biggest critiques on Mims was like sometimes with a player like him, it might take a year or two for him to adjust to the NFL. I don't want to give the comparison of Devontae Parker, but Devontae Parker is a receiver that y'all should probably know from the Miami Dolphins. Very talented. Took a few years for him to get his feeding wet. Is that right? Footing wet? I don't know if that's how you say it. But same thing with Mims. It could take him an extra year because he still needs to be able to learn a little bit more of a complete route tree, which sometimes you see from some of these Baylor receivers. They just go straight. So in terms of some of these reports coming out, wide receivers ahead of Mims, it sounds like Corey Davis, Keelan Cole, Elijah Moore, those are absolute locks. And then Jamison Crowder, Braxton Berrios, and Vincent Smith. If the Jets decide to keep 6 receivers, could that actually mean that Mims is going to be one of these players that gets cut? I mean, all the receivers right here, they've been working with at least the first and second team. Mims has been working with the third team thus far. So what do you guys think here? Will the Jets ultimately cut Denzel Mims? Y for yes, or I want you to go down in the comments section and type N for no. Even though he's been practicing bad, even though there's been negative reports, I just can't see how New York can move on from him. I really do. I just think he's way too talented of a player. You got to be patient, and for you to move on from a dude that you literally drafted in the second round a year ago, I don't think that's fully fair to him. Plus, more talent around Zach Wilson is how this team is going to ultimately win.